Hi everyone, today I'm gonna show you the cheese production in the manufacturing system. And as you guys know, the cheese was making by the milk. The traditional method is in Asian Europe, people use the cow's stomach to hold the milk and storage for a while, and the enzyme and the bacteria in the cow's stomach actually formed the milk into cheese, and that's a traditional way. But during this system, the cow's stomach play the role of the bioreactors, and the theory of all this process is from the rennet they add in, and the rennet turn the milk to the curd, and the curd get furthermore fermentation and then turn to the cheese. And there are so many different types of cheese in the market. What kind of components affect their flavors? So we got different types of milk source. We use cow's milk, sheep's milk, and even goat's milk, and we even can mix it up together, and we got different flavors. And you can also add in some other food source, such as penicillin fungi. This thing is used to made by the blue cheese. So when you eat the blue cheese, you can see the small mold in the cheese. That's by the penicillin fungi, and that's give the cheese different flavor. And let me introduce today's main character. Is the rennet enzyme, and the rennet enzyme actually is the most important components of making cheese. Now I'm gonna tell you this. There are 12 steps for manufacturing cheese production. The first one is the sterilized milk. The milk is from the farm, collected freshly, but it also rich in gets some contamination by the pathogen and other organisms. And during the delivery, it's not that clean enough, so our milk get contaminated. So before we use the milk, we need sterilize it. And after sterilize, our purification milk are ready for making the cheese. And then first we add in the starter bacteria. This can keep the milk active for the following steps. And after this step, the milk is already getting fermented. And then we add in the enzyme rennet. That's the main thing, turn milk to the cheese. After we add that, the milk started getting crystallized, turned into curd. And when the pH reaches 6.4, it's ready to chop it into small pieces and put it in the heater to heat it up. And this picture is actually the big chamber in the cheese making factory. You can see this is step 4. We just add in the rennet enzyme. You can see the small particles in the substance. Now let's jump to the step 7. The cheese was cutting into a mat from the curd. It's actually like a small mat about this kind of size. And after that, we need to keep flipping up the mat to make it well mixed fermentation, because the water will always keep in the bottom and drill down, and we don't want the cheese lose the water. And after the pH reach 5.5, it's ready to collect it up, and we just put all the curd into the mold and mold it up to the round shape, the thing you see in the market. That's the cheese. But it's still not finished. We need to storage it a couple of days and keep continuing fermentation and until it get ready to pack it up to send it to the market. And that's all the steps for cheese making. And today we are focusing on these containers. It's the renate enzyme making process. The cheese production mainly use the lactic acid bacteria, which is the renate we add into the cheese, and the sterilized milk. After fermentation, we got our cheese. And the fresh cheese production require a large amount of the lactic acid during the process. And let me introduce these bacteria. Lactic acid bacteria, it is really a good way for the cheese making, and because of it can actually the bacteria eat the milk and turn it to the cheese, and it also low cost. It won't cost too much compared with other reactors or enzyme. And the last benefit is when this kind of enzyme grows and the bacteria grows, it will stop other pathogen and other organism grows in the milk. So we got purification cheese. In early stage, after adding the starter culture, for a while we just adding the renate, which is the lactic acid bacteria. Lactic acid bacteria production. In traditional steps, these methods are pretty good, I should say, but they got some problem with the downstream. It's hard to collect the product, the yield, so it's always mixed up with the waste. So it's very hard to separate it. It took a long period of time, and also cost a lot. And our company, Beneron and Ella food production, they do have the new technique of cheese making, and they use the membrane technology, which are using the electronic membrane to purify cheese, to purify the lactic acid during the collection step, and the benefit is cost much lower than the traditional method. And this is how the bioreactors work. We got this container and motor and impeller to keep it well mixing, and pH control the pH in the substance in the pH substance in the container, and the water system keep the container same temperature. And at the beginning, we add in the primary actors, which is the lactic acid and the food source, enzyme, and the water. And then the duration process might take about like a couple of hours, maybe 1 or 2 days even. Depends on the experiment speed. So after that is the harvest, is the downstream. So we collect our yield in the downstream. The most important you can do in this system, you can monitoring the whole making process, the lactic acid making process, and you can control the production speed, the pH, the temperature, everything. And the main food for the lactic acid bacteria is the carbonate and lactose. After fermentation and purification, we got more lactic acid, which is the product. Now, this one will be this graph will be more clear to show you guys how is the system works. So at the beginning, we got the raw material, which is the primary lactic acid bacteria. We add in, and before that, we need cultivate in the medium, and we got the culture ready to put into the bioreactors. Then But before that, we need to sterilize to kill other pathogens and also other organisms to prevent it. There's no contamination in our bioreactors. And the airflow flows into the bioreactors from the top up, but after sterilization. And the food was also added from the top. It got carbonate, lactose, milk, and waters. And we also add in some enzyme buffer. It can accelerate the production process. And during the process, there are some gas come out, which is carbon dioxide and other gas emission. We also need to put a filter there to prevent if there's no contamination go in or out in the bioreactors. We collected our product in the downstream and also got the side product which can put back into the bioreactors for the following step of the product making, and also got the waste. The lactic acid production. We can collect more than 90% of our product by the electrolysis membrane. So actually, the electrolysis membrane got the small holes on the membrane, and it can actually hold the lactic acid, which is the yield of our production process. And actually got pretty high concentration. We got 90 grams per liter in the jar, and also during the whole experiment, we control it in 32 degrees. Okay, and the proton and ions and waters will pass through the electrolysis membrane, and these method won't produce the salt and other waste, so it won't be mixed up with our product. So we don't need to pay for that much money for separate the product and the waste. So we save our time and save our money. And this graph is basically describe all the thing adding and all the price are on the right side. And we can see from the bottom, the manufacturing cost is $25. But these data is from 1992. It's a long time ago, but after more than 20 years, it's still pretty cheap with this price. And in the last slides, I'm gonna show you the regulation and the safety issue for the cheese production. For the safety issues, most of the dairy company have the problem with the delivery and the storage problem, and it is really headache for them to keep the product in the same temperature and in the same place for a long time. So they need monitoring the whole system at the whole time. And the regulation and the patent. All the dairy products, such as cheese, it need to pass 3P standard dairy test. This test was set up by the government. So before launch to the market, they need to pass this. And I should say, different cheese companies, do have their different formula. And when we call them, they won't tell us that. That's a kind of a business secret. That's the way they make money. That's the way they special with other product. And after this process, the cheese are ready for the market. And this is my reference. And thank you. Thank you for watching.